Watching the sun dip below the horizon is a profoundly humbling experience. That gradual descent, that fading radiance, always stirs something within us. For a fleeting moment, everything seems to glow. The world is painted in hues of gold and fiery reds. And then, suddenly, it's enveloped in silence. The light you took for granted just moments before vanishes, leaving behind darkness. A patient, endless kind of darkness that makes you question whether the sun will ever grace the sky again. But it always does. It always has. And perhaps that's one of life's most profound truths. Even the sun needs to set in order to shine once more. The paradox of light and shadow. We celebrate the rising sun, often forgetting that its beauty is inextricably linked to its setting. We embrace beginnings, new ventures, new loves, fresh hopes. Yet we often shy away from endings, as if loss were some kind of flaw in the very design of existence. However, everything you cherish owes its existence to impermanence. Without death, life would become stagnant and stale. Without the harshness of winter, spring would lose its miraculous quality. Without moments of silence, music would just be an overwhelming cacophony of noise. And the same holds true for you. Your own journey of becoming is inseparable from your unraveling. The Stoic understands this concept clearly, seeing the setting sun not as the death of light, but as its renewal in another form, the art of dying daily. Each day, something within you experiences a kind of death, a thought, a desire, a fleeting moment, a version of yourself that can no longer continue to exist. Yet, most of us resist this small, daily death. We cling tightly to our identities, to the comfort of certainty, to the familiar embrace of who we were yesterday. But look at nature. Nothing clings, yet nothing is truly lost. The tree sheds its leaves not in a state of grief or sorrow, but in unwavering faith. The river releases the melting mountain snow without resistance. The moon wanes in the sky, and the world patiently waits, knowing with certainty that it will wax once again. To die daily isn't an act of despair. It's an active participation in the natural rhythm of existence. It's willingly letting go, so that what is meant to bloom can take root and flourish again. It's within this rhythm that wisdom takes root and grows, in the profound understanding that every sunset is a promise, not a punishment. The ego's fear of the night. What we truly fear isn't the setting sun itself, but the quiet, dark silence that follows. The ego trembles in that darkness because it's unable to see its own reflection. It thrives on activity, on narratives, on the presence of light, on any proof that confirms its existence. When life becomes quiet and still, the ego often panics. It shouts, "Do something, fix it, don't let this end." But endings aren't mistakes or errors. They are the spaces where something deeper awakens. The vast awareness that doesn't rely on external light to know itself. You've experienced this before, in moments of heartbreak, in times of profound loss, in the face of failure, during those long, sleepless nights when you felt you had reached the very end of your rope. But haven't you also noticed that somehow life continued, that the dawn eventually returned, bringing with it a clarity you couldn't have possibly known without first experiencing the darkness that preceded it? The sun must disappear in order for the stars to be seen. Similarly, the self must fade away for truth to appear, the grace of letting go. Every sunset silently imparts the same invaluable lesson, that letting go is not the same as losing. The world doesn't mourn the passing of each day. Instead, it exhales, softens, and prepares itself for rest. When something in your life comes to an end, whether it's a relationship, a cherished dream, or a chapter of your life story, the mind often rushes in to fill the void with meaning. It resists the silence, because silence can feel like death. But death, in every form it takes, is simply a transformation. The night sky doesn't destroy the sun. It carries its warmth within its memory until the moment it returns again. To let go, then, is to trust in the unseen order of things. It's to believe, not blindly but with deep conviction, that everything has its turn in the eternal dance of change. The Stoic doesn't cling to what is fading away. He expresses gratitude for it and gracefully steps into the next moment, unburdened and fully awake. The cycle of descent and renewal. If you observe closely, you'll notice that everything in life moves in cycles, rising and falling, beginning and ending, expansion and contraction. You breathe in, and then you breathe out. The heart fills with blood, and then it empties. The tides advance upon the shore, and then they retreat back into the ocean. No part of life remains still, and yet we often try to make it so. We attempt to cling to the crest of the wave, foolishly pretending that it will never crash. But the wave must fall in order to rise again. That's its very nature, and it's yours too. Every descent you fear, every heartbreak, every loss, every failure, isn't a deviation from life's grand plan. It is life's plan unfolding exactly as it should. You aren't being punished when you experience a fall. You are being reshaped and refined. The Stoics referred to this as living in accordance with nature, understanding that nothing is ever truly wasted, not even your darkest night. The sun's descent below the horizon is the very same movement that makes the dawn possible. It disappears only so that it can return, renewed and refreshed. So why do you treat your own moments of darkness as mistakes? The courage to rest in darkness. We have been conditioned to fear stillness, to equate silence with stagnation, and to see darkness as synonymous with defeat. But life needs both light and darkness. The soil must rest and lie fallow before it can nourish new growth. The mind must find quietude before it can truly understand. The soul must empty itself before it can receive once more. Even nature sleeps. Even the universe itself takes pauses, an eternal rhythm of expansion and contraction, birth and death, presence and absence. So, when your own light dims, when the world around you seems to fade to black, don't curse the night. Instead, sit with it. Allow it to teach you its secret language. For it's in the quiet darkness that profound insight begins to grow, the kind of wisdom that doesn't stem from effort, but from stillness. The sun doesn't fear its setting. It trusts the cycle. It knows that the light it loses will inevitably return, because it never truly left. It only changed its form. And the same is true of your strength, your joy, your clarity. They don't simply vanish. They move through different seasons. To fear their absence is to misunderstand their fundamental nature, the hidden growth within endings. We often speak of endings as if they are final and absolute, but endings are really just beginnings wearing a different mask. A seed must break open in order to become a sprout. A caterpillar must dissolve within its chrysalis to become a butterfly. A star must collapse in on itself to ignite anew. Nothing that truly lives can ever stay the same. You, too, must break open from time to grow, to shed old layers, and to renew yourself. This isn't a flaw in your story. It is your story. You aren't meant to be untouched by change. You are meant to be transformed by it. Each time life takes something from your hands, it's creating space for something you haven't even imagined yet. You lose what is finished so that you can receive what is beginning. And though it may hurt, deeply, painfully, truthfully, there is beauty to be found even in that pain. Because pain is the crack through which awareness enters. It humbles you. It softens what was once rigid. It returns you to what is real. Just as the setting sun dissolves into the horizon, your losses dissolve what is false, leaving only what endures, the dawn beyond despair. No matter how long the night may seem, dawn always comes. You've seen this in your own life, haven't you? After heartbreak came clarity. After failure came wisdom. After grief came gratitude. When everything seemed utterly lost, you found yourself still breathing, and that breath carried you into the next sunrise. That's the fundamental nature of existence: to fall, to rest, and to rise again. Even despair, when met with patience, becomes fertile ground. It is the soil of transformation, the sacred ground where you learn to begin again. The Stoics taught us not to fear adversity, but to meet it with calm curiosity, to ask not, "Why me?" but, "What is this here to show me?" When you live in this way, you stop chasing after permanence. You stop clinging to what is fading away, and in that act of surrender, you discover something eternal, a peace that isn't dependent on external circumstances, a light that shines quietly even when the sun has set, the peace of impermanence. We spend much of our lives chasing after permanence, a feeling, a person, a moment that will last forever. We etch our identities onto things that are inherently temporary, and when those things begin to fade, we mistakenly interpret that fading as failure. But nothing that is truly real can ever be destroyed. Only illusions demand eternity. Impermanence isn't life's cruelty. It is its kindness. It frees you from the impossible task of trying to stop the tide from turning. It reminds you that everything you are meant to experience will naturally pass through you, not to stay, but to shape you. When the Stoics spoke of amor fati, the love of fate, that's precisely what they meant. To love not only the rising of the sun, but also its setting. To embrace every turn of the wheel as part of the same divine rhythm. There is a profound peace in that surrender, a peace that no amount of control could ever grant. Because when you stop demanding that things last, you can begin to love them as they are, fleeting, fragile, and precious beyond measure. Every goodbye becomes softer. Every ending becomes luminous. Every loss becomes a gentle teacher. Even the sun, in its infinite brilliance, must bow to the horizon each evening, not in defeat, but in unwavering faith. Faith that what disappears is never truly gone, only transformed, the grace of the in-between. There is a sacred space that exists between sunset and dawn, a threshold between what was and what will be. Most of us rush right through it, impatiently waiting for the next beginning. But the Stoic lingers there. He understands that true growth happens not in the brightness of day, nor in the depths of night, but in the quiet moments between them. When life feels uncertain, when you are neither who you once were, nor who you are in the process of becoming, don't rush to escape that space. The in-between is where life remakes you. The caterpillar doesn't rush its time in the cocoon. The seed doesn't resent being buried in the soil. The dusk doesn't envy the dawn. Everything waits in silence for its appointed time. And so must you. Patience isn't inaction. It's an unwavering faith in unseen movement. The Stoic heart learns to rest within that mystery, to trust in the unseen unfolding of its own becoming. You aren't falling apart. You are simply shedding what can't follow you into the next dawn, the strength to surrender. The mind often mistakenly equates surrender with weakness. It believes that to yield is to lose. But the truth is quite the opposite. To resist the inevitable is to exhaust yourself needlessly. To surrender to it is to rediscover your strength. The Stoic doesn't surrender out of resignation, but out of wisdom. He understands that resistance doesn't stop the storm. It only deepens his suffering within it. When you stop fighting against what is, you discover a deeper current carrying you along, a force that was there all along, patiently waiting for you to stop thrashing. You can't control the sun's setting, but you can choose how you observe it. You can curse its disappearance, or you can stand in awe of the beauty it leaves behind. Either way, the sun will set, but only one path will lead you to lasting peace. Surrender then, not as one who is defeated, but as one who finally understands. Because surrender isn't about giving up, it's about giving over, giving yourself to what is already true. And when you do, you will feel life moving through you once again, unforced, unhindered, and free. The dawn within. Eventually, dawn returns. But by then, something within you has changed. You no longer view the light as a guarantee, but as a precious gift. You don't take its warmth for granted, because you vividly remember what it felt like to stand in the dark. And that remembrance becomes your wisdom. The sun rises, not only in the sky, but within you. It shines through your understanding, through your patience, and through your quiet strength. Even as life continues to shift and dissolve, you no longer fear its movement. You have learned to dance with it. That is the Stoic way. To stand calm amidst impermanence, to act without attachment, to love without clinging, to lose without bitterness, and to let go without despair. When you realize that every sunset holds within it the seed of dawn, life no longer feels like a battle to be fought. It transforms into a rhythm, one that has always been leading you home, the quiet wisdom of the horizon. Stand at the edge of evening for a moment. Notice how the sky softens, how the light, once sharp and vibrant, grows gentle and golden. It doesn't struggle as it fades. It simply gives itself over to the horizon, fully, beautifully, and without hesitation. This is wisdom. This is nature showing you how to live. To live with grace is to understand when to let go, to know that holding on beyond your season isn't strength, but fear disguised as devotion. When you learn to let things end, you create space for what is waiting to begin. The Stoic heart understands this rhythm well. It no longer mourns every sunset, because it trusts in what cannot be seen. The quiet movement beneath the visible, the eternal pulse that carries all things through their cycles of rising and returning. Life is never truly lost. It only changes its form. Every horizon, no matter how final it may seem, is just another dawn in disguise, the peace of allowing. You can't force the sun to rise before its time. You can't rush the process of healing. You can't demand clarity while you are still in the midst of confusion. But you can allow. Allow life to move at its own pace. Allow your heart to break and then mend in its own rhythm. Allow the world to be imperfect while you walk your path through it. This isn't passivity, it's profound participation in truth. To allow is to say, I will not resist what I don't yet understand. I will meet what comes with an open heart, even if that heart trembles. The Stoic doesn't harden himself against the changing world. He softens into it, because only what bends can withstand the force of the wind, and only what flows can endure the current. There is quiet power in such yielding, a power that is born not from control, but from harmony, the eternal return within you. Each day that you live is its own rising and setting, a full cycle of creation and release. When you wake, you rise like the sun, radiant, full of energy, filled with possibility. As the hours pass, you pour yourself into the world through work, love, thought, and action. And then evening arrives. You fade into reflection. You let go of the day's concerns. You rest. Every 24 hours, life teaches you the same invaluable lesson, that renewal requires surrender. The Stoic views this repetition not as monotony, but as an act of mercy. Each day is an opportunity to practice the art of ending well, to close with gratitude, to rest without regret, and to trust that tomorrow will rise when it is ready. Because nothing is ever truly gone. It's only in the process of becoming something new. Even you, the one who is listening now, aren't the same person you were when this day began. You have been quietly reshaped by every breath, every thought, and every act of letting go. You are always both the sunset and the sunrise, dying and being reborn with every passing moment, the meditation of acceptance. Now, close your eyes. Take a slow, deep breath in. Feel it rise like the dawn, and as you exhale, feel it fall like dusk. A soft release, a gentle letting go. This is the rhythm of all things. This is the pulse of the universe. Expansion, contraction, stillness, renewal. You aren't separate from it. You are it. The sun doesn't fear the night. It knows that it is also the light of the night, just as you are the awareness that resides behind your own darkness. When you resist the setting, you suffer. When you accept it, you become whole. You realize that what ends was never meant to last forever, but what remains was never meant to end. And that eternal part of you, the quiet observer, the one who sees both the light and the shadow, isn't bound by either. It simply shines, the closing reflection. Even the sun must set to shine again. Allow those words to settle in your heart. They aren't merely poetic. They reflect the very structure of existence. You will lose things. You will outgrow them. You will stand in the quiet darkness of uncertainty and wonder if the light will ever return. And it will. It always will. Because life isn't a straight line. It's a circle, endlessly spinning and endlessly renewing. So when something fades, bow to it as the sun bows to the sea. When something ends, let it end with dignity. When something new begins, receive it with gratitude. The Stoic's peace doesn't come from resisting change, but from recognizing that change is peace in motion. You aren't the keeper of the sun. You are the sky in which it rises and sets. You are the stillness that holds both day and night. And when you finally stop trying to hold on to the light, when you allow it to pass through you freely, you discover something astonishing. You were never meant to possess the light, only to reflect it. So live gently. Let the day end. Let the night come. And trust, deeply, humbly, completely, that the sun will always rise again within you, as it always has.